Hey, I'm Jamey from Stonemeyer Games, and if you don't mind, I'd like to gush about a game that's new to me, Creature Caravan from Red Raven Games. I just played it for the first time, and I had such an incredible time playing this game. So I wanted to talk about it right away and film this video right away, because I really just had a delightful time playing this. So this is a tableau-building game where you are using that tableau of creatures and people that you meet along the way, and also some machines, some like machine people, to help you go on this journey. The journey itself is a traversal across 4 tiles that look like this. They're double-sided, so you can use either side of the tile. They look like this. You're moving mostly orthogonally across these different obstacles. And in a way, it's a little bit of a race to get to the end, but it doesn't matter who gets to the end first. You get a few extra points if you get to the very end of this path. But the game gives you a lot of freedom, a lot of different paths to victory. And one of them involves moving forward along this path. You actually get points for every space forward that you've moved, up to 25 points. So that can really add up. But there's a bunch of other ways to get points in the game. And two of the things I mentioned here are some of my favorite mechanisms, but really there's a lot I want to talk about in this game. Part of my favorite mechanism here is the freedom that you have. Like, you don't have to move forward. The game just says, here's how to move. You can move in any direction. You can move around and gather treasure chests. You can move around and accumulate and fight the zombies, the ember zombies. You can go to the towns to draw more cards. You can do a lot of different things and not just move forward on this track. The other element of this that I really like is that the tableau that you're building, the tableau of cards, they look like this. I'll put some up on the screen as I'm talking about it. This tableau of cards that you're accumulating over the course of the game, the designer, Ryan, kind of unabstracts what you're doing with this tableau. Rather, he says, you're going on a journey, and these are the creatures and the people that are joining your caravan along the way, and they are helping you do things that they can do to help you on this journey. So the tableau, you're actively using the tableau throughout the game to do the thing the game is saying it's doing. I really like this. I mean, I really like that I'm not just building the tableau and doing other things, doing kind of abstract things with it. As is the case even in some Stonemeyer games. You are actively going on a journey with these cards. Really, really great connection between what you're building in this tableau and what you're actually doing in the game. Now let's get down to that a little bit, what you're doing with the game. So I really like the game starts off simply. All you have is this player mat. It's a dice placement game, so you're rolling dice, and simultaneously with other players, you are puzzling out where you want to place these dice to gain the benefits. So if you see like a 5 right here, you can place a 5 or higher to gain 2 food. And then that space is occupied. You can't do that again on the same turn. This puzzle is simultaneous, and it actually really, really helps that it is simultaneous, because you roll all the dice at the same time, and then you're placing them at the same time, not one by one, but completely simultaneously to gain a variety of benefits. And the puzzle is like, okay, where do I want to place the dice? In what order do I want to place the dice? When am I going to move with those dice? There's the movement icons up here. And as I gain cards, because you can play cards as a free action if you have the resources, as you gain cards, they also have dice placement spots on them. So in what order do I want to play cards so I can use the dice that I have to put the dice on those cards? And at any time you can get rid of a card to gain a food, and the food is used to gain these dice. I really actually like that flexibility. The game is very generous with cards, not quite as generous with food, but because you can get cards and convert them to food at any time, you have the possibility of getting a bunch of cards in your tableau. I played a 2-player game. We each ended up with 8 cards each in our tableau. But I like that the game starts off very simply, but very quickly it ramps up to this puzzle that every turn you're not going to be able to use all your cards because you only have 5 dice. And all the cards are brilliantly designed. I mean, they're creatures that are based in the water, and so they have to do with water spaces on the board. There are bird folk in the game. There are machines that play off each other. A lot of great tableau building elements in these cards. I know I'm looking at them, not showing them to you. This is a very small assortment of the cards in the game. I guess I'll talk about, 3 other things real quick. One is just a satisfying thematic element that to show that you have finished your turn, there is a clear signal in the game to do that, and you put one of your camp tokens. You have 12 camp tokens. The game is 12 rounds long, or 12 turns long. You're going to put one of your camp tokens where you have ended up on the map. So I like that it's a clear signal in this simultaneous game that, hey, I'm done with my puzzle this turn. I'm camping out here. And where you camp matters, because if you camp on a town, you get to draw 3 cards. If you camp on a treasure chest, you get a treasure chest. If you camp in certain other spaces, say like if you camp on a mountain, you might gain something, but there's nothing like that by default. There's also these little berries right here, or fruit. If you camp on a fruit, you gain a fruit token, and this is a really, really neat mechanism where you then, at some point in the game, choose where you want to put that fruit token. So say I had this card right here. This costs a 4 or higher die. If I put the fruit on this card, kind of endearing me to these bird folk, then from then on, I only need to I can place any die here from then on. A 1 or higher I can place there. That's what the fruit does. That's a really cool mechanism. I really like that in this dice placement game. We didn't get many fruit in our game because they're pretty rare, and so you're not getting a ton of them. I think they're spread out really well. Maybe there's even only 1 per board, but they're worth going after. I think they're very powerful. I didn't mention that when you roll the dice at the beginning of the turn, you actually do get to re-roll once. You have to re-roll all the dice if you choose to do that, but you do get 1 re-roll. Even with a lower value roll, there's not a lot of parity in the game, but even with a lower value roll, there's a fair amount of stuff you can do with it. One other thing real quick, I mentioned the multiple paths to victory. One is focusing on building this tableau and getting points from these cards. There's a fair number of points that you can get from the cards. The other is stopping on different areas, camping on different areas, progressing to the east, trying to get as many spaces east as you want. But you also, along the way, when you are trading to gain the food that you need to play more cards, depending on what you trade, you can get a bunch of points at the end of the game. For example here, if I trade in 5 of the bags, I get the number of bread I get is 5 plus 2. So I get 7 bread. And then at the end of the game, I get 6 points. So not only are you doing a conversion that you want to do to get more cards, but you're also getting points at the end of the game. Same with coins. And same with, I won't go too deep into how these Ember Zombies work, but basically if you choose to fight them, if you don't choose to fight them, say you go through a few Ember Zombie spaces, you have 3 of them at the end of the game, that's minus 3 points total. Not that bad. But fighting the Ember Zombies, as I found, is a viable strategy. Collect them and then spend as much as possible to fight them. You can only choose one of these columns per player per game. But like if I spend 12 fight to kill an Ember Zombie or defeat an Ember Zombie, I get 6 points at the end of the game. Yes, I've used my dice to do that I could have used the dice for other things, but I got 22 points from this Ember Zombie board. So I was like intentionally not avoiding the Ember Zombie spaces because I wanted to go get points from fighting them. Anyway, I could go on and on. I've only seen maybe a third of this deck of cards so far, and I'm not even going to spoil it because I want to play again almost immediately and discover more of the deck. But I had an amazing time. I thought this was an amazing tableau building game. And yeah, I really can't wait to play again. So hopefully, I know I've touched upon a lot of different mechanisms here instead of just one favorite mechanism right now, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on these mechanisms. If you've played the game, if you've played another game that has a similar mechanism to these. And I'd love maybe to hear your thoughts on a tableau building game where the tableau is what you're doing when you activate that tableau is very closely connected to the core theme of the game. I'd love to hear about that in the comments below. Thanks.